What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about something that Canadians have been doing to protest the United States, and that is refusing to buy American products. So today, I really want to learn more about this, and I want to check out this video where an American news crew actually traveled to Canada to see this in person. The US product boycotts. And it says here that what they found was striking. So, as an American, I'm very, very interested to see what exactly is happening because this is all having a really, really big impact on the United States and it really affects me. So, let's take a look.
This section here traditionally would have been filled with U.S. corn. Customers love it because it's a great product. What started as a big display has been shrunk.
In response to U.S. tariffs.
What now? Wow. See, that's how you know Canadians are really, really upset and very, very serious about this and this response. In that the first thing who is this? I think this the grocery store manager or something. He's basically saying, usually there's a bunch of American corn here that Canadians really enjoy. Usually it's a big display. This is stuff that Canadians used to enjoy buying and eating, but it doesn't matter how much you guys enjoy it. It's about the principle of the matter. It's about making a statement. So even if Canadians out there, if you used to buy our corn and enjoy it, it doesn't matter how much you liked it. You're willing to give that up to make this statement and, to hurt the United States because the United States has done so much damage to Canada.
This section here traditionally would have been filled with U.S. corn. Customers love it because it's a great product. What started as a big display has been shrunk.
In response to U.S. tariffs and President Trump's threats to annex Canada, 71% of Canadian consumers say they intend to buy fewer American products this year.
Whoa! 71% of Canadians are saying they're going to buy less American products. That is a huge number. I'm impressed. Unfortunately, I'm impressed about something that is hurting the United States. But don't get me wrong. I totally understand. I get it. If somebody was doing to America what we have done to Canada and what our president has said and threatened, this is exactly the kind of response that I hope Americans would have. So I can't even be mad. It's just really, really sad for me and really unfortunate the way things have panned out and that this incredible response and this unity and this movement by Canadians, it's honestly really impressive, but it's meant to hurt America. That's the backwards part of it for me, anyway.
Year. That's having an impact. The U.S. economy could lose up to 0.3% of its GDP, or about $90 billion in 2025, due to the boycott of American goods and the decline in foreign tourism.
Oh my God! See, this needs to be this needs to be such bigger news here. I think here in the United States, we are trying to pretend that this isn't happening. This is not something that you see on the news. This is not something you hear people talking about very much. And it's either because Americans are that ignorant or a lot of Americans don't want to acknowledge that we're being hurt and that our policy decisions are bad in this case and that this is happening. So I think there's a bit of denial and ignorance going on here.
Foreign tourism. Giancarlo Tremarchi is the owner of Vince's Market, a Canadian grocery store chain with 4 locations. He's seen the backlash firsthand.
Wow.
Talk to me a bit about how the Buy Canada movement has affected you at the grocery store.
Our customers are demanding from us as much Canadian product as possible. They're getting frustrated and upset when they see too much U.S. product.
What? Whoa. Wow, this is actually really interesting. Really, it's like really helpful to hear what actual Canadians are saying. Like, this is literally a Canadian grocery store manager. He owns 4 different groceries, I think they said. And he says the customers, Canadians, are literally going to him, like personally saying, don't have too much of that American stuff in here, or like, I'm gonna have to shop somewhere else because I want Canadian stuff. Like that, I didn't know that the activism was like that intense. I just thought Canadians were actively avoiding American stuff, and grocery stores had to kind of adjust what they bought. But it's a step further. Like, Canadians are literally demanding that the stores not sell American stuff so much, which that's next level like activism. That's something.
We've obviously seen the very visible and visceral reaction from markets to US policies, but it's very interesting to see from the consumer side what impact it's having. And these little acts of activism from consumers who have decided to turn their back on certain US products.
If there was a Canadian version.
Wow. I mean, by the look of some of this, it even seems to, I think that says something about Denmark. Like, this is extending beyond Canada. Like, there's a lot of countries around the world that aren't very happy with America right now, that are probably boycotting, that I don't even know about.
The Canadian version and an American version. We probably already delisted the American version in support of the Canadian product because that's what our customers are looking for.
In several
Right. So if there's a ketchup and there's Canadian ketchup, is there Canadian ketchup? What's the Canadian ketchup brand? Like, it's not Heinz, right? Or anyway, Canadian ketchup and American ketchup, you're just gonna sell the Canadian one. Like, it's not even a contest anymore.
And several countries, including Canada and Mexico, and some in the European Union, are responding to aggressive U.S. trade policies with retaliatory tariffs of their own.
The U.S. tariffs look like they're going to last for the duration of the Trump administration in one form or another. That's going to keep other countries kind of in a negative mood towards U.S. goods and services.
Yes. So I think pretty recently America hashed out some kind of trade deal with the EU or the UK. It's hard to keep up with this stuff. And as of right now, there's no real formal deal that's been hashed out between Canada and the United States. We're still kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. Canada dropped a lot of the retaliatory tariffs against America to try to match us with some of that stuff. Or at any rate, no matter how you view it, it seems that Canada is, honestly, it sounds like politically, at least Mark Carney, by doing that, was sort of an olive branch. Kind of like Canada is like really been doing, don't get me wrong, you're literally boycotting our goods. But at the same time, in the midst of this trade war, Canada, to me, seems to be trying to extend some kind of olive branch to say, hey, we're going to drop some of these tariffs. Now, America, it's your turn to do something for us now, right? That's how relationships work. And it just seems like we're all just kind of waiting and seeing, and nothing's really happening right now. And it's frustrating.
So what impact is the boycott on U.S. goods and travel having? And is this just a political statement or a permanent shift in buying behavior?
And that's really important too. Like, how permanent is this? Is the American-Canadian relationship ruined forever? These are the things that Americans don't think enough about, and our government doesn't look into the future. Because as for Donald Trump, he's just concerned about his final term, these next 4 years. This is his second term. He can't run for president again, assuming he doesn't try to overthrow the country and be instated as our permanent king. This is his last term, technically. So he can do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to be liked. Do you know what I mean? This is when you're a politician and you're president and there's no more opportunities to be reelected. He might as well just do whatever he wants to do, because he doesn't have to make any voters happy. He doesn't have to make anybody reelect him. So it's honestly somewhat of a scary thought.
NBC went to Canada to find out. Vince's Market got its start in Toronto in 1986 and serves about 30,000 customers weekly.
March was when the real tariff threat was all the news. We had Canada flags everywhere in the store.
Tremarky says since then, his customers have moved decisively away from U.S. products.
At the height of when we are out of Canada's growing season, we could be upwards of 60%, 70% American produce. Okay? Right now, we're only running at about 30%.
Wow. There is something striking about actually seeing a Canadian grocery store in really actually seeing it, not just hearing about it. Literally seeing the guy who runs it be like, yeah, we've cut back American produce by 30, 50% this year.
Canadian flags and labels mark domestic goods in aisles, while apps like MapleScan help shoppers identify origin.
What? What is this? What is this? I had no idea about this. This is an app for identifying Canadian stuff? Really? This is what AI is being used for. That's honestly really cool. Again, it's so conflicting for me because I have nothing against Canada, and I totally understand Canada's response. I actually admire it in a way. It's just unfortunate that it has to hurt America and that we're the ones doing this. But this I didn't know there was an app for scanning food so you can instantly know if it's Canadian or not.
Take a photo of a product. The app will scan what that product is, figure out what it is, the label, look up information online about it, essentially compile all that information together into a product page to kind of give you information about the company's history, who it's been owned by in the past versus now, what are its Canadian ties.
But some items are hard to replace.
Mangoes and pears you can get from different parts of the world. When you get into things like Anjou and Bartlett pears, right now you can only get them from the United States.
Haha! If you want your Anjou pear, it's in big words. Under it says "product of the United States." It's so interesting because, right now in the United States, we are not boycotting any country or anything. So, I don't even think about this when I go to the grocery store. I don't think at all about where it's made. But in Canada, that's literally on the label.
Demand and the hardest ones to replace from the U.S. is typically berries, citrus, and greens, lettuce.
Okay.
If there is
Maybe America will survive if Canadians, if you have to buy our berries. Thank God for our berry growth or climate.
Produce from the U.S. and produce from Canada, and they're the same. Of course, I'll go Canadian, of course.
We've always been very pro-Canadian, even way before all this stuff happened.
Sure.
This just reinforced it.
Canada is America's second largest food export market, worth $28.4 billion in 2024.
A lot of Americans try to pretend that this isn't a big deal. Like I said. And that is so stupid. The data literally shows, look at this. Canada, number 2, that we export American food to.
The boycott has impacted other parts of the store, too.
How is that affecting kind of these perceived American products like Coca-Cola or Lay's?
Yeah, Coca-Cola and Lay's are great examples of global brands. They actually bottle Coke bottles in Canada, about an hour and 30 minutes north of here.
couldn't give up your Coke. I don't know why I'm trying to be antagonistic here. I'm just joking because I'm just glad to see something American is still being sold in Canada. There's some hope. It's Coke, but I mean, I guess if it's bottled in Canada, that kind of makes it Canadian. So is that like a loophole? Because if it were me, there's only so many things I'd be willing to boycott. I don't know if you could take away my Coke Zero from me. Yeah.
Frito-Lay uses Canadian potatoes. There would have been no identification of where Frito-Lay products were made. It would have been small and on the back. Once they realized that they were getting a bad rap, they went ahead and they added Made in Canada labels permanently onto the bags.
What? I did not know about this. There's manufacturers, and some of these are American-owned companies, that are going as far as to, on the package itself, it's not like a sticker that they put on. It's not a label at the front of the aisle. It is a permanent printed design on the packaging. They had to change the designs at the factory to say made in Canada or manufactured in Canada or whatever it is. That's because it means that much for Canadians. That right there shows me so clearly how much this means to Canadians.
The bags.
American staples like wine, beer, and spirits have seen the biggest change being wiped off Canadian shelves. Earlier this year, multiple Canadian provinces announced they were pulling American alcohol from their store shelves. And in March, Canada imposed a 25% tariff on all U.S. alcohol products.
Yeah.
A 25% tariff on distilled spirit imports from Mexico and Canada could cost more than 31,000 U.S. jobs.
This is such a good reason for Trump, really, to expedite a trade, some kind of deal between Canada and the United States. He's acting like everything is just going so well, so perfectly according to plan. This is great, generating all this revenue from tariffs. And it's like, tell it to the 30,000 Americans who are going to lose their jobs because of Canada not wanting to sell American alcohol. Tell it to them. Like, 30,000, that's not a small amount of people.
So we're in our wine section now. Our wine business, roughly 35-40% of our red wine sales is California cabs and blends. So that's $60,000 a week in sales that are just gone. They've evaporated from the United States. We're replacing it, and we're replacing it with import wines from France, from South Africa, from Australia, from New Zealand.
Other countries around the world are probably loving this. Other countries are probably loving this. Like, American goods getting replaced with Australian goods or whatever. Who knows if and when this is all over, like whenever that happens, if enough time goes on, or if we have a deal, who knows if Canada will even go back to how it was, Probably not, is what I would think. I would think no matter what happens now, Canada will probably never go back to the friendliness and accommodation that it had for Americans and American products.
In 2024, Canada was the U.S.'s top export market for alcohol, exporting $435 million worth of wine,
wow,
$221 million in distilled spirits, and $41 million in beer to Canada. The loss to the U.S. is a boon to Canada, with the Buy Canada movement adding roughly $10 billion to the country's economy.
So this part has been good for Canada. Honestly, Canada's response to the tariffs and stuff has been very smart and impactful. Like, it's impressive. And I think about, well, if Canada is refusing to sell American products, we're losing. American businesses are probably going out of business or having to shut down in certain areas or in Canada, and that's losing more American jobs, and it's very bad for us.
Giancarlo thinks if the tariff dispute is resolved, the boycott might ease, but it's unlikely every customer will go back to buying American.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think.
So I actually just had to respond to a customer from last week that came in and felt like we had too much American product, and they told us they're not going to shop at our store anymore.
And just like shelves are being cleared of American products, international travelers are clearing their travel plans to America, turning away from the country as a destination.
I mean, it's all, geez. This really had a big impact on me. Actually seeing like a Canadian grocery store, the manager talk about the customers and to see the packaging that's changed and the lack of American goods being sold, and it's honestly very depressing for me, and it should be for a lot of Americans because man, it's something that shouldn't even really have happened. Is maybe the most frustrating part of it. Is this is such a stupid thing that America caused unto ourselves for no good reason. That's probably the simplest. That's the simplest way of articulating my thoughts about the whole thing. And now that it's all happening, we're not doing a particularly good job of remedying the situation, and we're seem to be continually stuck in this limbo of like, will America make a trade deal with Canada? Will Canada accept the deal? Will we tariff you more? Will you tariff us back? We're going to ease up. Then you're going to reduce your retaliatory tariff. It's just so old and bad. And yeah, again, totally understand it from the Canadian point of view. It's actually really interesting seeing the Canadian point of view. It makes a lot of sense, actually. And yeah, it's frustrating, but I actually am got a lot out of this video. So even though it's bad news for us, I got a lot out of this. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on all this, especially if you're Canadian and your thoughts on boycotting American goods and only buying Canadian and the Canada-US relationship. That'd be awesome to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and seeing Canadian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.